Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. We'd like to introduce to you two articles of interest. First, I'd like to welcome all the people watching on Facebook Live. I do appreciate that. I hope you find some value in this article review, learn some things, and also enjoy it. Before I go ahead and read this article and review it, I would like to let you know that this is for review, informational, and educational purposes. It is not to take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which in this case is phys.org, and the story by ScienceX staff. Headline reads Rubidium containing material with exceptional conductivity and stability could pave the way for next gen fuel cells. Ahead of us is a picture of what's being talked about. So it says advancing oxide ion conductors, rubidium containing materials for clean energy. So it says oxide ion conductors enable solid oxide fuel cells, or SOFCs, catalysts, gas sensors, and oxygen membranes, as we have some pictures here. And it says rubidium, or Rb, on the periodic table, the second largest uh, cation, remains unexplored in oxide ion conductors. All right. Then it says discovery and characteristics of the RB5BIMO4O16. That is the chemical formula for the compound, as a promising oxide ion conductor. So they basically have it broken down. It's kind of here. So we have 475 Rb containing oxide. That is the bond valence based energy calculations. Then we have the synthesis. We have the crystal structure analysis and the experimental characterization. In addition to that, we have something called the Pamarite type RB5BIMO4O16. And here we can see a graphical representation of the bond for RBBI. And we have all the different letters indicating each layer, as you can see here. I do recommend that you go and look at this in greater detail. I'm just giving you basic stuff. For second chemical bonds, we have MOO4. Now, for the reasons, let's put this back up. For the reasons for high oxide ion conductivity, we have a large bottleneck for oxide in migration created by Rb. We have an antistropic thermal motion of oxygen atoms, and we have the presence of bismuth, which is Bi, that's the abbreviation for the element on the periodic table. And then we have the rotation and arrangement. So let's continue on. Rubidium, and actually, our caption reads, high conductive stable Rb containing oxides expand possibilities for sustainable oxide ion conductors. Credit goes to the Institute of Science Tokyo. Rubidium could be the next key player in oxide ion conductors. Researchers at the University of Science Tokyo have discovered a rare rubidium, or Rb, containing oxide ion conductors, that's RB5BIMO4O16, with the exceptional high conductivity. Identified through computational screening and experiments, its superior performance stems from low activation energy and structural features like large free volume and tetrahedral motion. Its stability under various conditions it offers a promising direction for solid oxide fuel cells and clean energy technologies. Oxide ion conductors enable oxide ions, that's O2, can be transported in solid oxide fuel cells, which is SOFCs, which can run on diverse fuels beyond hydrogen, including natural gas, biogas, and certain liquid hydrocarbons. This flexibility makes them particularly valuable during the transition of a hydrogen economy. Well, SOFCs hold transformative potential for an energy sustainability perspective. Their widespread adoption is challenged by their cost, durability, and operating temperature range. Overcoming these hurdles requires the development of better oxide ion conductors, and researchers in the world are constantly trying out new materials with different chemical compositions. Could rubidium, which is Rb, be the key to high performance oxide ion conductors? The research team, led by Professor Masamoto Yoshima at the Department of Chemistry in the School of Science, set out to answer this question. They explore the untapped potential of Rb as the next major advancement in oxide ion conductor technology. Through a systemic and comprehensive approach, their findings was published in the Chemistry of Materials. So that's a famous publication where you'll see, PhD work. You can see something called a white paper where you see a scientific study, how it's broken down, the results, and the scientific procedure behind it. Since Rb is one of the largest cations, second only to cesium ion, crystalline Rb containing oxides are expected to have larger lattice and free volumes, potentially leading to lower activation energy for oxide ion connectivity. Based on this idea, researchers first performed the computational screening of 475 Rb containing oxides using bond valence based energy calculations. They found that palmarite type oxide materials, which have a crystal structure similar to naturally occurring mineral palmarite, exist at a relatively low energy barrier to oxide ion migration. Consider that several bismuth, which is Bi on the periodic table, containing materials of molybdenum, which is Mo, also on the periodic table, containing oxides exhibited high oxide ion conductivity in several studies. The team selected RB5 BIMO4O16 as a promising candidate. Now, to validate their selection, they conducted a series of experiments, including material synthesis, conductivity measurements, chemical and electrical stability tests, and detailed compositional and crystal structure analyses. They also performed theoretical calculations and ab initio molecular dynamic simulations to explore the underlying mechanisms behind them measured properties. The results were highly promising. As Yoshima says, quote, surprisingly, RB5 BMO4O16 exhibited a high oxide ion conductivity of 0.14 meters ms per centimeters at 300 degrees Celsius, which is 29 times higher than the yttrium stabilized zirconia at 300 degrees Celsius, and compared to the leading oxide ion conductors with similar tetrahedral moieties. Now, in terms of, if you're not familiar with the degrees Celsius, because in the US you don't use the metric system except for in scientific measurements. So in everyday occurrences, people are not using the metric system. Excuse me. So just in case you're not familiar with what 300 degrees Celsius would be for a temperature, what you would do is, if you want to know it in Fahrenheit, which is the standard measurement in the US, what you do is you take your degrees in Celsius, and technically it's 9 over 5, which is 1.8. So you take whatever your degree Celsius is, you multiply it by 1.8, and then you add 32 degrees. Okay. So that would be, what would it be? That would be what it is in Fahrenheit. Okay. So just for reference, that's what it would be. Excuse me. Now let's continue on. Several factors were identified in the research team to explain the exceptional oxide ion conductivity. First, the large Rb atoms facilitate a low activation energy for oxide ion conductivity. The oxide ion conductivity is further enhanced by the rotation and arrangements of the MoO4 tetrahedra within the crystal lattice. In addition, the anisotropic large thermal vibration of energy atoms in the material also contributes to oxide-ion conductivity. Finally, the presence of large Bi cations with lone pair of electrons also plays an important role in lowering the activation energy for oxide ion migration. Another remarkable aspect of RB5 BIMO4-016 is the stability at high temperatures under various conditions, including CO2 flow, wet air flow, and wet 5% hydrogen and nitrogen flow. And its stability is about 21 degrees Celsius in water. So if you want to get an idea for the temperature, what you do is you take your 21 degrees Celsius, multiply by 1.8, and then add 32. Okay. So what you're going to get would be 21 times 1.8. What is that? Well, that's 2.1. So it'd be 42 minus 4.2. That's 39.8. Is it? And then you add 32, so we have 71.8 degrees for 21. Now, if it's 300, what you do is you take, as previously mentioned, you take 300 and multiply by 1.8. So what that is 300 times 1.8 is going to be 540. And then you add 32 to it. So that's 570 degrees Fahrenheit, which is incredibly hot. Now, 21 degrees Celsius is still hot, but not hot like 300 degrees Celsius, obviously. So let's continue on. Now, the discovery of Rb-containing oxides with both high conductivity and high stability may open a new avenue for the development of oxide-ion conductors, adds Yashima. Quote, we expect these advances will lead to new applications and markets for Rb as well as contribute to lowering the operating temperature and reducing the cost of solid oxide fuel cells. By the way, guys, whenever you need something of a hotter temperature, it requires more energy to do it, okay? But of course, the higher the temperature, the faster the chemical reaction. So there's the initial part of it where you need more energy to make something hotter. Further research in this field could pave the way for better oxide ion conductors and sustainability-focused energy applications, as well as devices like oxygen membranes, gas sensors, and catalysts. For more information, Yuda Yasui et al. High oxygen, or that is high oxide ion conduction, and Rb-containing oxides. Chemistry of Materials 2025 DOI 10.1021/ACS.ChemMater, that's CHEMMATER .4C03148. Provided by the University, provided by the Institute of Science, Tokyo. The author would like to point out that the story was originally published on pyhys.org. So subscribe to the newsletter for the latest sci-tech news updates. Okay, let's go under a second article. We're going to shift gears to more technology from science to technology. Okay, so remember something that science is the theory behind things, and what powers it, technology, is the methodology in which, or ways in which it can work. Okay. So what you have is you have a scientific process, a scientific knowledge, and then from there you have an application of technology. Okay. Now, before I read this second article and review it, I would like to let you know, as usual, that this is for review, informational and educational purposes. This is not to take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which in this case is Business Insider. And the story by Sperkel at insider.com, that is Sarah Perkel. Our headline reads, Microsoft CEO says AI will change, but he puts in single quotes, knowledge work. But that doesn't mean it's going away. Well, change knowledge work. And he says, but that doesn't mean it's going away. Now ahead of you, I have a picture of this person. that we're referring to. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said, quote, knowledge work, unquote, could change as AI grows more powerful. As per Getty Images, copyright provided by Business Insider. Here are some important points to remember from the article. The first one is that Satya Nadella made a distinction between knowledge workers and knowledge work in a recent interview, as he has knowledge workers and knowledge work in quotes. For a second main point of the article, we'd like to point out that the Microsoft CEO said the definition of cognitive labor will evolve as AI grows more powerful. And for the third main point of the article, it points out that he expects knowledge work to be redefined as AI becomes capable of tasks once performed exclusively by humans. Okay, so that's like anything else. If you have a physical job and you have a technology that does the physical job, that will replace a person in terms of efficiency and cost effectiveness. And also, if it is a knowledge job, meaning the job's based upon knowledge, sort of another term you could use is a brain job. Okay, that would be the old term. So you have physical work and you have mental work. The mental work itself is even easier to be replaced because that's done through a program. So what you do is you have an AI program that automates tasks, and it does the same task, or it could say like job function, whatever job responsibilities that an employee would do as well. So keep that in mind. Satya Nadella isn't dancing around. AI agents are increasingly poised to take on work that once fell solely on human beings. So by the way, guys, there's lots of examples of this. You could say like data entry, being a secretary, doing customer service. So what you do is you look at the jobs that require the least amount of skill. And what you find out is that those are more easily replaced by AI than things that require more technical understanding, creative ability, or other intuitive abilities as well. So that's what that is as it relates to the point. However, that doesn't mean knowledge work is going away. He simply expects it to evolve. Quote, when we think about even these agents, the fundamental thing is that there's a new work and workflow, Nadella said in an interview with YouTuber Dwarkesh Patel. Quote, so the new workflow for me is I think the AI will work with my colleagues, unquote, he added. As tech companies continue to invest in AI, improving their models and the corresponding applications as quickly as possible, certain jobs are likely to be impacted or become obsolete. Now, the models they're talking about is basically a customized version of an AI program. Okay, so you have one that does a specialty function. So that one model is okay, it only does this. Okay, usually it's specialty because you can put more content into or more programming into something that's specialized. Nadella likened the advent to AI to that of the workplace alternating, that is, altering technologies using in the analogy of a multinational company producing forecasts in the days before PC and email and spreadsheets. Unquote. Quote, faxes went around, Nadella said. Quote, somebody then got those faxes and then did an inter-office memo and then went around and people entered numbers. And the ultimately a forecast came, maybe just in the time for the next quarter, unquote. People were eventually able to, quote, take an Excel spreadsheet and put it into email, unquote, and, quote, send it around, unquote. The fax was largely replaced in the workplace with jobs dependent on it meaningfully changed. Quote, so the entire forecasting business process changed because the work artifact and workflow changed, unquote, Nadella added. Quote, uh, that is what needs to happen with AI being introduced into knowledge work, unquote. There is no single definition of knowledge work, but it can be generally understood as labor that requires employees to think critically to solve non-routine problems. Nadella said that the current concept of, quote, cognitive labor, unquote, is relatively narrow and will have to expand it to include new occupations and tasks. As soon as AI automates one task, it expects humans to invent another. You know why that is? Because once they've replaced their job, they always have to up their skill set because otherwise they're just going to be replaced. So they're going to have to come up with a job in which that AI cannot replace very easily, that is. What we consider to be human exclusive work today could in the future be the domain of a machine, Adela said. Much in the same way that the calculator knocked out the need for mental math and quote computer once referred to someone's job as job it was to manually perform for calculations. So I can tell you guys that depending on the calculation, it might be actually faster to do it in your head than it is to type on a calculator. So it depends on what it is. Usually calculators are for very large and precise numbers that are not as easily calculated in your head. Quote, the knowledge work today can be automated, unquote, Nadella said. Quote, who said my life's goal is to triage my email, right? Let an AI agent triage my email, but after having triaged my email, giving me a higher level cognitive labor task of, hey, these are the 3 drafts I really want you to review, unquote. So you can see, like I was saying before, guys, that's what AI does, it automates tasks. Nadella said that he expects AI agents to require a supervisor, the quote, knowledge worker, unquote, of the future, whether there's a human overseer or a smarter machine. So basically, think of it as there's knowledge work and there's knowledge worker, right? Unquote, Nadella said. Quote, the knowledge work may be done by many, many agents, but you have a knowledge worker who is dealing with all the knowledge workers. And that I think that the interface was one has to build, unquote. So what we have here is a video on YouTube, okay? I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to mention that you go to this website, right, for the article. You see the article here. And I recommend that you go to the website and watch the video yourself. I do want to mention that because YouTube does not allow links to articles, what I want you to do is go to my Rumble page, or Rumble channel, that is. And then what I'd like you to do is just go to the Rumble channel. That latest video will be listed at the top. Just what you can do is I'll have in the comment section on my Rumble channel for this video, there'll be a link to this particular website, and then you'll be able to go to the website and watch the video accordingly. I actually watched it as preparation for this review, and I'll tell you that it does give you a different perspective on what's going on. As to keep going forward, we have to be more informed and adapt to the current needs of the environment. So, the author would like to say, if you've enjoyed the short story, be sure to follow Business Insider on Microsoft Start. Okay, with that said, that is the second article. And before I finish the review, I would like to ask you a question in regards to the 2 articles. The first one is, rubidium-containing material with exceptional connectivity and stability could pave way for next-gen fuel cells. And the second one is, Microsoft CEO says AI will change knowledge work, but that doesn't mean it's going away. What do you think of these 2 articles? Are they interesting? Are they relevant to your life? And do they provide enough information to get a basic understanding of the topic? You're welcome to give your opinion in the comments below, but I do ask you first that to keep it relevant and to keep it civil, as we're only trying to add something positive to this review. And before the review, I would like to thank all the people watching this on Facebook Live. So I'd like you to do, and also people who watch the recorded version in both cases, what I'd like you to do is please click the thumbs up on the video. That way more people can see what's of value and was able to benefit from this article review, as in it's always a benefit to be informed about the recent, current events and the recent news. In addition to that, for all the people watching recorded version on YouTube, Rumble, Daily Motion, and on occasion when I do upload to Vimeo, as Vimeo does have storage limitations, meaning you can only upload videos that take up a certain amount of storage. If you want more than that, you'll have to pay for the storage on Vimeo. So usually Vimeo is you're selling courses, etc. So that will be something I'll be doing in the future. But for purposes of this recording, I won't be uploading this to Vimeo, but for the other ones, what I'd like you to do is please click like on the video. That way I'll be pushing the algorithm and more people would be able to view it and enjoy it. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. That way I'll have access to all the content on my channels, which is the same content here. And the content ranges from product, gaming review, to course review, right? And also I'm going to be doing stuff with AI, with AI storytelling, and also asking the AI questions, right? And get some informational value out of that, as in, okay, let's say we're asking it a difficult question about a problem, and what's the solution, the explanation, and you can get that. Also, when I'm gaming, sometimes I'm actually talking to the AI and asking questions and talking about my activity and seeing what their perspective and knowledge base is for that particular activity. Also, if you haven't already, please click the bell button. That way you'll be notified of all my future videos. That way when a new video comes out, you won't miss it because you'll be notified accordingly. So I'd like to wish you a great day wherever you are in the world. Take care, and I'll certainly talk to you next time, guys. Stay tuned for more great content with gaming and